We've talked a lot about how Toyota has been impacted by the recalls and investigations. We want to turn our focus now to you, those of you who are driving Toyotas. Over the last day or so, there's been a lot more clarity about what's going on. Most of you should have been informed or should have the number to call Toyota or your local dealer to find what's going on. Let's go to Buffalo again, though. We spoke to Lauren Fix yesterday, who was very good about giving us some very specific information about what to do if you find yourself in a car that is subject to these recalls, Lauren. Now, there are two recalls going on that total more than 5 million cars. Right. One of them involves a floor mat and a gas pedal getting stuck, and the other one involves a gas pedal getting stuck in an accelerating position without the floor mat being there. What do you do, first of all, if you drive a Toyota at this point? What are your first steps?
Well, you drive it normally. Just be very aware of what happens. If you're in a car that starts to accelerate, people panic, and the first thing they want to do is hit the brakes, which is the worst thing you can do. You want to put the car into neutral, turn on your four-way so the people around you are aware that you're having a problem. Get over to the side of the road as carefully as you can without hitting anyone, and then shut the car off. So the brakes will work. But if you shut the car off while it's moving, then you have no steering and no brakes. So what I'm trying to get people to do is put the car into neutral, put on your four-ways. And yesterday there were quite a few viewers that sent me emails. I tried to respond to all of them, but many of them didn't even know that. So I'm glad that we're able to educate everyone.
There's no, I would love to just keep having that conversation until this thing is over, because this is a thing that has panicked people. Clearly, the Transport Secretary yesterday saying, and he retracted it later, but saying, don't drive your car, got people panicked. But one of the things he said, if you took the context of the comments he made in the hearing, he said it would be simpler than explaining to people about putting their car into neutral and doing all this. He'd like people just to get their car fixed. So his point wasn't that people shouldn't do this. When you do slam your car into neutral while you're driving it, if the accelerator is stuck, you're going to hear a lot more engine noise than you were hearing moments ago.
Absolutely. The engine will continue to rev, but there's no connection between the engine and the wheels, because what you're doing by putting it in neutral is the transmission then no longer can connect to the wheels, to keep it simple, essentially. So although you can ignore, it's very hard to ignore an engine revving very loud, the safest thing to do is disconnect the engine from the transmission, coast over to the side of the road, make sure your four-ways are on. And for those of you that aren't driving a Toyota and you see someone coming up on you pretty quickly, I would be looking for an escape route. And I started to be aware of that yesterday after I spoke about it. You know, and it's amazing how people are just a little bit more aware on the road, which is good anyhow. Yep. It's good for safety.
Lauren, once you've done what you've just said, you've pulled over to the side of the road, you've disengaged the engine, your car's off, you're on the shoulder, hopefully you're safe. What do you do then? Do you start it up and drive home, or do you call Toyota?
No, absolutely. I would call the local Toyota dealer. If you're out of town, you can call a roadside assistance, have it towed to the local Toyota dealership. They will then repair it. Many dealers do have these shims in stock, and I'm sure they would repair a vehicle if you're on the side of the road and take care of you. I also know that Toyota is giving checks out to each of the dealerships based on how many people they're taking in, how many people they're servicing. Many dealers are open, their service departments are open 24 hours a day. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if the sales department has somebody there, too, just to try to sell you a new car.
Right, and those workers, in order to fix all these cars, are staying longer, and that's where some of the money is going to help these dealerships. Lauren, thanks very much, and if it sounds repetitive, it's okay. We're going to repeat this until everybody in America knows how to deal with their Toyota.
Glad to hear it.
Lauren Fix is an automotive analyst joining me from Buffalo, New York. Listen, it's Facebook's birthday. I hope you sent them a card. It's the 6th birthday for Facebook. We're going to look back on Facebook's brief but booming history and looking ahead. When it comes to social media, one of the big issues is privacy. We'll talk about that when we get back.